Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about advice to medical coders seeking their first job. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, so I got a comment. Thank you to the viewer who made the comment. I'm gonna read the comment and we're gonna get into it. So here we go. They said, you stated your first job was with a temp agency for 3 months. I'm trying to branch out from HCC/risk adjustment coding. I've been applying to outpatient positions as I have my CPC with no luck. Do you recommend applying for contract outpatient positions? I haven't tried, reason being that the training is quite short and they expect you to hit the ground flying. One company's training was just 2 days. I won't lie, it's intimidating as I'm afraid of failure, but I am also so eager to try something different and learn new things. Please tell me your honest thoughts. Thank you. All right, so we're going to get into this. But I will say this first. The name of the game is to get in, to find your first job. There's a lot of other alternative titles that will get you transferable skills into medical coding if you are too nervous to start off as a medical coder. But here's the thing. If you have passed a certification exam, this says that you have the competence to work in coding. You may not feel like you are confident yet because maybe you went through a fast-paced medical coding program, or maybe you feel like your instructor didn't really teach you. And so you're just sort of hoping that you're going to find this job and they're going to teach you. They won't, guys. If you're expecting that, meaning that if you are a brand new medical coder, so you're only seeking entry-level positions, that's part of your downfall too. Because you can't just look for entry-level positions. Trust me, there's a lot of people looking for those entry-level positions. And it's setting you up for failure if you keep seeking them because, number one, a lot of people are going to be applying for those. Number two, you're not probably going to get the attention that you think that you're going to get because if they're hiring for entry-level, they know that this person either has to be good at coding or can be on their own. That's why they do it too. And three, they almost never pay well either. So that's the thing that you got to keep in mind. All right, guys, everybody knows medical coders make good money. Everybody knows this. We don't talk about specifics on my channel because every place is different. However, I will say this. If you only pigeonhole yourself to entry-level positions, you're going to be looking for a long time. So the thing that you have to do is you have to apply everywhere, regardless of whether they're asking for experience or not. Blue, they're asking for 3 to 5 years of experience. They've been asking for 3 to 5 years of experience since Moses wore short pants. They are going to ask for experience because employers are inherently lazy and they don't want to have to train medical coders, especially when they're already certified. Now, the problem comes into play with new medical coders is because there's a lot of fast-paced medical coding programs that get sold to people and they're not properly trained. I get emails daily, dozens of emails daily from people who write me and say, Blue, I've been in this program for 8 months and I don't understand a word the instructor says and they don't want to help me. Then you have to learn to help yourself. I have the books that I recommend to help you study. And that's not just for when you're in school or when you are preparing for your exam. It's also for when you're out there seeking a job because they will give you an assessment test. So it helps when you already understand the concepts. You may not get the codes right, but if the employer can see, well, they're on the right track, they know that they can work with that. But you won't know unless you're actually working with the workbooks and things like that. Please don't be like these people that I hear from who say, well, Blue, I'm looking for my job and I found one, but they want to give me a test and I haven't coded in over a year. Why did you stop? You have to keep studying because just because you pass a certification does not mean that that's it. When it comes to medical coding, it's a constant learning process. That's why we have to have continuing education units in order to maintain those credentials. So this is part of the whole thing about being a medical coder. And I have plenty of videos on my channel about being a medical coder and what it means and what we have to know. But that aside, the first thing that you need to make sure of, that the reason that you're not getting calls is not because you're a brand new medical coder. is because of your resume. What is the state of your resume? Now, I have done videos numerous times about resume tips for brand new medical coders. People still ask me, where's the videos? Look through the videos, guys. It's there. You can hire somebody. You can hire me. I have my rate in the description box below. I do plenty of resume rewrites, and people get calls. I just posted the feedback that I got from one that she had been applying everywhere, and when I redid her resume, as soon as she sent it out, she started getting calls. So what does that say, guys? It's the state of your resume. Now, I have said before, and I've said it again, if your resume is over 2 pages, that's a no-no. It can be max 2 pages, but it cannot be over 2 pages. It has to be max of 2 pages. Ideally, it's on 1 page. However, if you're trying to cram a bunch of information, you need to make sure that it aesthetically looks pleasing, okay? Don't go back more than 10 or 15 years on your resume. No one needs to know that you worked in the 90s, okay? No one needs to know that. No one needs to know that you worked in the early 2000s either, okay? 10 to 15 years, because they need to see your most recent experience, all right? And if you do that, make sure that you talk about what's transferable. If you had to use Excel, if you had to protect private information, if you had to do any kind of record keeping for anything, make sure that that's on there. Anything that is transferable. On your skills, and I will say this, on your skills, if you have organized, a team player, timely, if I'm a hiring manager, I would immediately reject that one, because the skills is not for your soft skills. The skills list is for your hard skills. ICD-10 CM, and yes, it should be ICD-10 CM, not just ICD-10, not ICD-10 CM/PCS, because number one, when I see that sounds lazy. It looks lazy too. It's 2 different things. It needs to be on 2 different lines. ICD-10 CM, CPT 4, HCPCS level 2, ICD-10 PCS. And then everything else that you learned in the school, that's supposed to be on your skills list. Medical terminology, anatomy, and pathophysiology. You see it when you're looking at the job listings. And take a look at the job listings and see, what does it say? What is it asking for? What are the skills they want you to have? And you always see medical terminology, anatomy, and pathophysiology. You'll always see that. So make sure you have that. Make sure you have an objective statement. Now, there's some debate, especially if you look on Instagram, because I write resumes and I have it in my on my posts sometimes. I will get other resume writers come up on my feed, and there are some that agree with the objective statement and some that don't. For me, the way that I have done it, and I've been successful again writing resumes, I have an objective statement on mine, all the ones that I do, because the objective statement says, what are you there for? When I get resumes and I look at them, sometimes I have no idea what the heck this person wants. What do you want? What are you looking for? I need to know as a hiring manager, right? If I'm a hiring manager, I need to know, what is it that you're looking for? Now, it's not an objective summary. No, because you do not have experience. You need an objective. What is your professional objective, right? What is your professional objective? Not professional summary, but professional objective. Your objective is, what do you want? What are you looking for? And do not put that you're looking and seeking an entry-level position. Nobody cares. And if I see entry-level and I'm a hiring manager, nope. So if you have that on yours, take it off. Only because, again, we know that you don't have experience by looking at your resume. However, you don't have to highlight the fact that you don't have experience, okay? You need to show what it is that you learned in the school. Because if medical coders who have experience in the area are happy where they are, they're not going to be out there job seeking. So sometimes the employer is going to have to just take whoever applies. And if it's brand new people, okay, brand new people, let's see what you got. And if you sit there, I don't know, then that's the problem, guys. That's why they won't call back. So you want to say, this is what I know, this is what I was trained in, and this is what I am prepared to give you as an employee. So that's what you need to have in your mind, okay? That's first of all. So if your resume does not look good, or you think, it can use some help, take a look at my videos, guys. They're free. It's free to view them. It's free to view them. Now, you may have to watch a few ads, but I mean, hey, you know, where else can you get information like that? I'm just saying, okay? Now, the other thing is this. When, if you don't want to do that, if you say, well, Blue, I don't want to write it, again, my rate is in the description box below. Or you can hire a professional wherever you are in your area. But just keep in mind that if that professional is not a medical coder, they're not going to know what it is that medical coders are looking for in this industry. So that's the other thing too. I'm uniquely qualified to write resumes because I'm in the industry. I understand what we're looking for. And I'm not somebody who's going to have just, you know, it's just a template. Because you see those. You see the templates out there. I see one template running around for medical coding. It looks ridiculous. About ridiculous. Because when I see that, I'm just like, are you kidding me? You're repeating skills throughout, but just saying it different ways to make the person look like they have more skills. No, you can see right through that. So I'm just saying. So make sure that your resume is right. That's just first out the door. Second of all, when you're applying, and even though they say you must have 3 to 5 years experience, you apply anyway. It is free to apply. It is free to apply to jobs. And I've told you guys to go to the temporary agencies and get yourselves registered. Temporary agencies for medical professionals in your area. And just make sure that when you Google that you put medical professions, you know, temporary agencies for medical professionals. And it will bring up the list of available temp agencies. And you get yourself registered with there. Now, they will get you a job. Sometimes it may not be a coding job. Sometimes it may be a billing job. Sometimes it may be that they need somebody to work release of information or something. You're qualified for release of information because you have HIPAA. You've had HIPAA training throughout your program. Everybody does. And everybody's tested on it with these tests as well. So that's something that you are, you know, qualified for. You can do charge entry. Charge entry is another alternative position. Again, I have videos about alternative positions you can get into. But if it's really that coding that you're after, then you have to be not afraid to apply everywhere. And even if they are asking for experience, okay? If they're asking for experience, you still have to say, hey, I'm here. Let me show you what I got, okay? Your cover letter, you got to have a cover letter too, guys, and people will have a debate about this, but I believe in cover letters because cover letters are a great place to talk about your soft skills that should not be on your resume, okay? The cover letter is all about the hook. It's about bringing them in and say, hey, I really want to meet this person. I really want to interview them and see what they've got. And it should not be a regurgitation of what you have on your resume. Don't start saying all the jobs that you've worked and where you worked and what you did and things like that, because they can see that on the resume. Why should they call you? What are you looking for? Again, covered in the cover letter. Okay, so that's just the other thing that you got to know there too. When the job listing says preferred does not mean required. You'll see some of them say required. But preferred does not mean required, okay? Apply anyway. And if they reject you, you apply again when they have the job listing come open again. Because trust me, they will have, a lot of them will have the job listing open up again. That was how I got to my forever home. I had a really good interview and then I was rejected. I wasn't rejected in the fact that they told me I was rejected. They just didn't call me back. But it was a really good interview. And about a month later, they opened up the job again, but it was for an even better position. And that's when I applied again because I said, by golly, they're going to see me. That was a good interview. And I know I was on the verge of a callback. And I don't care. They're going to know who I am. And sure enough, they called me and I got the job. They offered it to me without having to go through an interview again. So that's something that you have to know, guys. You have to know this. If you take the first knockdown as, oh, they didn't want me, well, that's what you're going to get. Okay, you get knocked down and you stay down? Okay. But for me, I got knocked down and I said, okay, I'm going to go right back up again. And I didn't have to interview the second time because I already interviewed. So they just made me the offer and I accepted. And I've been there ever since. So it's about setting that goal and being determined. You know, a lot of people want to give up. They want to look for those entry-level words. There's nothing wrong with applying for contract positions. However, I will say this. If it's like this one where they only have you 2 days of training, that's not really a place that's for a coder, right? They're just looking for somebody to data enter, okay? Or somebody who really has a lot of experience. And you don't need that. Because a good place is going to give you time to ramp up. And if you don't know what ramp up means, because I always get that, what does that mean, Blue? Ramp up means they will give you time to get adjusted and give you time. Usually it's 30 days, sometimes it's 90 days. Every place that I've worked has always been a 90-day ramp up period. And that's just giving me time to learn the electronic medical record, to get up to speed on my productivity and things like that. So that's what you want to look for, all right? Those are the types of positions that you want to look for. You don't want to look for these ones that's 2-day training, or that you have a 200 or 300 a day quota. Now, for those of you who say, well, that's at my facility, it's 200 or 300 that we have to do a day. That's just data entry. It's literally data entry, because there's no way that you can code for evaluation and management, code for procedures, major procedures or minor procedures, and still code diagnoses and still be accurate as high as 97%, and still be trying to pump out 200 and 300 a day. That's just ridiculous. And somebody asked me before, well, after I get experience, should I apply for those places that's 200 or 300? I said, did you watch the video? I literally said that that's not the place for a medical coder, because they're looking for somebody that is going to data enter and that person really does not understand what we do as medical coders. And believe it or not, there's a lot of places that don't understand what we do as medical coders, okay? So you want to look for places that's going to give you time to be able to ramp up and time to be able to, get going and have a reasonable productivity rate and a reasonable accuracy rate, all right? 97 is a little high, but that's the rate at my facility. Typically, it's about 95% accuracy. But sometimes when you're taking like the assessment tests, they'll make sure that you can, your accuracy rate is a little bit higher than that. It really all depends on the place. But you can't be scared of these people, guys. You have to want to get out there, because again, your credential says that you can code these things. Even if you don't feel like you can, even if you feel like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, then you need to be proactive and get on these workbooks and start working through the workbooks. The ones that I recommend are in the description box below. The ICD-10-CM and ICD-10-PCS coding handbook with the answers, and the CPC study guide. Now, it doesn't matter what credential that you have. You can have an AHIMA credential and still use the CPC study guide. And the reason that I recommend that one is because it's very comprehensive. AAPC did a fantastic job with that book, and I will recommend it because it's helpful for coders. And that's ultimately why I'm here, is to be helpful for coders, not to promote, oh, I want to promote this credential or this association or this, that. No, I'm not. I always give you guys a choice. When people ask me, well, which one is better? I never say one is better than the other one, because good coders come in all credentials. Okay, so just make sure that you keep that in mind. Okay, guys. But it's about getting out there, being proactive. Don't apply for these places that have the 2-day training program. That's just ridiculous. And again, they're not really looking for coders at that point. They're looking for data entry people. Really, that's all they're looking for. These jobs are out there. We are in demand, and there's a lot of places that are looking for good coders. But again, it's about not having that mentality of, oh, well, my teacher didn't teach me, and I can't get a job just because I have a CPC or a CPCA. Guys, again, I write resumes, and people who have CPCAs, they get jobs all the time. Okay, so and even people who don't use my resume service, they still get jobs because they've looked at the coding tips, as far as like the resume tips, and they're like, oh, Blue, you helped me, and it helped, and now I'm finally getting calls back. Because you have to know what you're saying. You have to know what skills do you have, because they're going to ask you, what skills do you have? And if you can't answer them, then they don't want to help you. They don't want to be around you. But if you kind of know and you're kind of like, okay, hey, and they're like, okay, well, this is something that we can work with. This is somebody that's proactive and that is going to push to learn, and they're going to learn on their own as well, not just depend on the staff, you know, because they have their own jobs to do. Okay. So don't give up. Don't only look for entry-level positions. You got to look for all different kinds of positions, guys. If you can't get an outpatient position, or if you're trying to apply for pro fee, or you're trying to apply for an inpatient position, again, they're always going to ask for experience. But then there's those jobs that you can use to help you get started. It will get you familiar with the electronic medical record, and you can add that to your resume, to your skills. Your whatever electronic medical record you use, like Epic or Cerner, or, you know, any of those. And so that way it's just more filler for your resume. I'm just saying. But yes, so keep applying out there. Make sure your resume looks good, because the way that you know your resume doesn't look good is if you're absolutely not getting calls. If you're absolutely not getting calls, then you need to revamp that resume. And that resume, I'm telling you guys, it has a lot to do with it. And then the second part of it is, can you pass that assessment test? Because you can get a call, but if you're getting that assessment test and you're not passing that assessment test, again, that's another thing that's got to grab your attention. You're not passing that assessment test. That means that you need to study more. You need to study more. And if you say, well, Blue, I don't understand, well, then you need to find a mentor. And there's a lot of mentors on LinkedIn, okay? If you don't want to do that, or if you're not finding anybody, then you got to hire a tutor, guys. I mean, again, you may have to put out money in order to learn this. You know, there's a lot of helpful resources on my channel. If you look in the description box, there's tons of articles. There's the guidelines. There's other websites that I recommend. You just have to look in the description box. And that's my way of helping you guys. Again, I'm teaching you all to fish. I can't just give you the fish, because then you only eat for a day. If I teach you to fish, then you'll, you know, be fishing for a lifetime. You'll be able to eat for a lifetime. And that's what you got to do, guys. You got to learn. Just start looking in the description box. You've got to learn. Just start looking at those resources out there. Apply with hospitals, apply with urgent care centers, apply with dialysis centers. You know, they need medical coders as well, outpatient medical coders. There's even with the nursing homes too. So you can look at those places, all right? And again, they're going to be called all different kinds of names. Medical records, technician, health information management, even though it's just for a coder. They'll say that. They'll say medical coder. They'll say coder. They'll say biller and coder. But my number one place that I would tell you guys to avoid would be a private doctor's office. Because a private doctor's office is usually run by the spouse, and the spouse, you know, it just has just experience from the field, but they're not certified in medical coding a lot of the time, and they're not even certified as a medical coder a lot of the time. And there's a lot of pushback I see when people apply at those places. And, you know, coders tend to get taken advantage of there, especially the new ones. So that's why I say the best place for you all to apply is at hospitals. Get in the hospital and try your best to get in there somewhere. Even if you start off in medical records, that's good, because then you can maneuver your way into the coding side. I'm just saying. So best of luck to you. Do not apply at these places that have a 2-day training period. And don't just look for entry-level positions. Apply for everything. I'm just saying. So if this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.